Satanism. The Satanists are out. And they're saying, no black mass in Kansas. This is a few days ago. These are those nerdy students.
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the...
God is under attack.
God is under attack? Well, luckily, his strongest warrior has arrived to protect God from the attacks. Not God!
I say this because a satanic group still intends to hold a black mass at the Kansas State Capitol on March 28th. This public sacrilege reportedly includes...
Public sacrilege? No! We can't do public sacrilege. That's against your religion.
The desecration of a consecrated host and the destruction...
What is a consecrated host?
...of a crucifix. Just yesterday, I heard that Archbishop...
The destruction of whose crucifix? Did they destroy their own crucifix?
Nauman of Kansas City filed an emergency lawsuit to recover the Holy Eucharist, which belongs to the Catholic Church.
I remember them talking about this last time we looked at this story. They're worried. They're like, nope, actually, the Eucharist belongs to the Catholic Church. Did they steal the Eucharist? No, they just have one.
However, the lead Satanist is defiant. He said very bluntly that he plans to, quote, kill Jesus.
Where is this Satanist? Let's talk to him. Who is this guy? Hilarious. Jesus is already dead. What do you mean? Are you upset? Are you upset about that? He already got. That's like your favorite shit ever.
What is wrong with salami?
That's like, yeah, it's literally your whole point. Tortured Jesus.
Nothing. I love salami.
Jim Caviezel. Beaten to tatters.
That's why we invite you to attend our Rosary Rally of Reparation.
Satan has no rights. Okay. I don't know. I mean, virgin clubs are fine. You can get in a little group together and be like, we're virgins. That's all right. You need community.
And protest outside the Kansas State House on March 28th. We will gather on the south side starting at 10:15 in the morning. And we already have a permit. Catholics everywhere are outraged.
I'm Catholic. Stop attacking my faith. So other people doing stuff isn't an attack on your faith? Your faith is an attack on my faith.
I'm the one that makes Lucifer cringe.
God, you pussy. Why can't you fight your own fights? What happened to you, man? You used to genocide firstborns and entire kingdoms, and now a bunch of nerds are threatening Jesus, and you have to rely on these dorks? Yes. These are the strongest warriors we got.
And rightly so. Now is the time.
That's just like you. That looks just like you guys.
To stand up.
Look at that guy. He looks just like this warrior. Yeah.
And defend the faith.
Oh, cool, dude. That's pretty cool. Hope it doesn't tip over or something.
Now is the time to uphold God's rights.
God's rights? So God isn't real. God isn't a real thing. He doesn't have rights. You have to hold up the rights of fucking Big Bird. We're very worried about Big Bird's rights.
More than 40,000 people have already signed TFP Student Action's
God damn, dude. That's almost a portion of the population.
Petition urging Kansas Governor Laura Kelly to cancel the vile satanic event.
No.
You can sign it too. Just click on the tag on the screen. The sole purpose of a black mass is to attack God.
That guy just wiped his fucking... Can we watch this again?
Screen.
Thou shalt not wipe boogies on my fucking protest sign.
The sole purpose of a black mass is to attack God, mock the Catholic Mass, and desecrate the Holy Eucharist.
I'm the one that makes Lucifer cringe.
The pencil-necked Knights Templar say, no more! That's right. No hailings, chat. Do not hail Satan. I disavow all Satanists. Satan, be gone. Be gone from me, Satan.
Satanists typically desecrate a stolen consecrated host in unspeakable ways.
A stolen consecrated... They desecrate it in unspeakable ways? I can think of some unspeakable ways. I could speak the unspeakable ways.
Nothing is more obscene, indecent, or hateful.
Really? I think the Catholics raping kids is more obscene, indecent, and hateful than someone doing a black mass. Yeah, I think the institution of Catholicism and child abuse is much more abhorrent than any of those things. Are you part of that syndicate? Do you cover for them as well?
The purpose of our protest is simple:
Sure are a lot of young boys in this.
to express our love for God and His Blessed Mother, and to defend the Holy Mass and the Holy Eucharist.
Damn. Sure, it'd be a shame if someone walked by and coughed on all of them.
America is one nation under God.
Okay. Well, tell him to show up to defend himself in court. How about this? I have a summons for God to arrive so he can face judgment. How about that?
And we will fight to keep it that way. Governor Kelly said that the Black Mass would not take place inside the Capitol, but would be moved outside the building. However, that's not acceptable. Total cancellation is the only reasonable option. After all, public officials are elected to foster the common good of society. And Satanism, by definition, is evil and harmful.
Arn Raw! That's funny, dude. He is a education advocate in Texas and an atheist, and he comes to some of these events sometimes to show them that religious freedom, like the First Amendment, means Satanists too. So if you want to have religion, you got to allow the others.
Harmful to the common good.
Hilarious. Look at those fucking horns, dude.
That's why the Kansas State Capitol and its grounds should not be used as a platform for evil to
I disagree. I think this is, if any place, the Kansas State Capitol is one of many quality choices for evil.
defile what is sacred or mock what is most holy. Yesterday, there was a very good development. The Kansas Attorney General stepped in and said this.
So on Friday, the Archdiocese of Kansas filed a case called Nauman v. Stewart in State District Court in Leavenworth County. In that case, they allege through sworn declarations that theft has occurred, and basically argue that the stealing of a consecrated host or bread and wine is necessarily has to have occurred, since there's no way to procure it under these circumstances without there having been a theft.
You can get the wafers and grape juice on the internet, man. What are you talking about?
Possibly a theft by deception, which is a crime under Kansas. That's where
Theft by deception?
the perpetrator of the theft portrays himself as something other than he is and obtains the stolen item that way.
You're saying a Catholic wouldn't have given wafers to somebody?
Because
That's a lot to allege.
there is that sworn testimonial evidence that a theft has occurred, and because the statements of this organization that intends to hold a so-called black mass indicate that they intend to destroy the stolen property, that would involve yet another crime being committed. So we believe that, although of course there are free speech concerns, and of course the Capitol has been a public forum, there are also limits, and you cannot use the cloak of the First Amendment to commit crimes. And here there'd be at least 2 crimes committed on state property. And so we believe that in this circumstance, it would be well within the First Amendment, and it would also be
Halt, citizen, drop the wafers! No, they just say, no, these are mine. Prove that they stole them.
appropriate in the state's interest of preventing crimes for the
Nah.
Go.
Church couldn't possibly lie about something being stolen because they feel attacked. Prove that it's consecrated. Prove that it's fucking stolen.
state not to facilitate this crime occurring either inside the Capitol or on the Capitol grounds.
Any members have any questions for the general? Thank you, General. Because we've also had an instance with this particular group or individual threatening members of the legislature. So with those 2 things in mind that are obviously not dealing with free speech, but dealing with actions, and we would call upon the governor to, we do believe the Grotto's advertisement of the Black Mass qualifies as a crime. The threats have been sent over to KBI for review, so I would say we call upon her to empower the Highway Patrol to not allow the mass to happen next week.
That's totally something they can try to do, but it just gets more eyeballs on the violation of free speech for the Black Mass. This is dumb. It's very dumb, yeah. How would that be a crime? They have alleged a crime.
With that, we're adjourned.
Some of you might be wondering, but what about freedom of speech? Freedom.
Not when it takes God's name in vain.
Freedom of speech is not absolute. It has limits. For example, engaging in slander or libel can be punishable in court. Since every person has a right to their good name, it makes sense that the sacred person of our Lord Jesus Christ, true God and true man, should also be granted the respect and honor his holy name deserves.
He's not real. He can't represent himself, so fuck off. God is a pedophile who raped Mary, and Jesus is a rape baby, you know? Like, that's obviously true. And also, Jesus is irrelevant because the creation story isn't true, which means Adam and Eve isn't true, which means the original sin story isn't true, which means there's no reason to be absolved of sins you haven't committed by accepting Jesus. Totally worthless. A worthless theology all around.
If we don't honor our Creator or follow a higher law, the foundation of order in society will continue to crumble.
Yeah, you're a Trump supporter, dog. You don't believe in good stuff. Jesus said, give all of your worldly possessions to the poor. I see that you're wearing a fine suit, sir, and not sackcloth. You have. It has been said that a rich man can not get into heaven, and it would be easier for a camel to go through the head of a needle, or the eye of a needle. But instead, you vote for rich men, billionaires that rob the world. And so, if your God exists, I think you're going to hell, buddy. That sucks.
It's also important to remember that Satanism is not a religion, but it's
Yeah, it is. Satanism is absolutely a religion.
antithesis. The purpose of religion is to love, imitate, and obey God, the source of all goodness and wisdom.
All goodness. So how many people has God killed in his time? The source of all goodness, by the way. The whole world once?
The bottom line is this: Satan has no rights.
Damn, that'll stop him.
God bless you, and thank you for defending our Lord's holy honor.
This guy should be shoved in a fucking locker. What a dweeb. Who cares if Satan has any rights? It's the people. Right, it has nothing to do with Satan. Who gives a fuck? Can't wait for Ghost to play in Kansas City on August 5th. These losers are going to lose their minds. Oh, yeah. They're just worthless. A bunch of worthless dorks.